We're excited to dive into a powerful and important conversation about the unique experiences of plus size women in the content creation and gaming spheres. In an industry where representation has historically been limited, plus size women are breaking barriers, challenging stereotypes, and reshaping how we engage with both content and community. This panel aims to shed light on the complexities of navigating a space often dominated by narrow beauty standards and expectations, while also celebrating the strength, creativity, and resilience of those who refuse to be sidelined. Our panelists today come from a variety of backgrounds, each with their own journey and perspective on what it means to exist, thrive, and advocate for change in a world that's not always welcoming or inclusive. From tackling body image challenges to finding support within the community, we'll explore how plus-sized women are redefining success in gaming and content creation and how their voices are shaping the future of these industries. Let's dive in. So, introduce yourselves. Who are you? And any opening statements that you may have. Go ahead, Bun.
Hello, my name is Fairy Bunsy, or I go by Buns. Currently, I'm a PNG tuber, but I used to stream under my real name and under Facecam, so I've been there as like showing my identity. Currently, I don't often, but I am a plus size streamer. I'm a plus size girl in the gaming industry. Not only am I a streamer content creator, I was studying game design at college for a bit.
Hi, I'm Jen, or Jen is online. I'm a Twitch partner who focuses a lot on body positivity and ensuring that we all feel like we're allowed to take up space because we can. And I do a lot of gaming content over on my channel. I do game shows and a lot of talking and panels. So here I am.
Hi, my name is Melissa. I'm a character artist and 3D, 2D character artist. A lot of my work focuses on, I guess, narratives through character design and what a character's body language and posture and costuming really says about them. So I'm kind of coming at this from an angle of someone who is either in industry or trying to get into industry, and as a plus size woman myself.
How has being plus size impacted your experience as a woman in the gaming industry?
As plus size women, as feminine people, obviously, sort of once we hit puberty, the way the world perceives us just changes drastically. And I had this feeling last year over the summer. I was going to a development conference, trying to look for studios that I could potentially join. And after, a year of being in, not a year, 2 years of being in university and feeling relatively comfortable in my course, which was a mostly, queer femme space,
Mhm.
having to suddenly think about how I'm being perceived in a space that is predominantly male is, terrifying, especially because, as a plus size women, we've got curves, and unfortunately there are social thoughts around that, I suppose.
Mhm.
Having to cover up and change the way that I express myself and make myself smaller in a lot of ways.
Especially the gaming industry is already so male dominated, and then on top of that, we're plus size as well. So it's kind of like it's almost like we're ticked out a couple of pegs just because of who we are as people and something that we can't change. Which I think is a bit ridiculous.
I mean, I agree. There's that constant pressure that sort of makes us need to present a certain way, based on what society really is putting out there, especially when you're on camera. I know that I've had moments where I feel like I need to like shrink myself, like literally and figuratively, like in order to fit in. But over time, I've like realized that my presence matters, especially about representation and like showing up exactly as I am means that I'm showcasing that other people can show up exactly as they are and feel seen too. And so it's made me more intentional about creating like an inclusive space just where people could feel like they don't have to be a certain way. So showing up how I am is important. It's sort of changed how I advertise my space. I'm definitely more focused on, you know, promoting my body size, which is not something that someone who was smaller than me might necessarily feel like they have to do.
Mhm. I agree, and that's exactly why I asked you to be on today was because I feel like you've really fostered that safe space, and that is something that you talk about a lot within your community stream.
Hmm.
So, and it's really nice
Thanks.
and refreshing to see. Of course.
Yeah, because for me, when I used to stream with Facecam, I remember every single day I would spend like an hour before stream doing my best to do my makeup, to do everything to make myself look better. Because I
Mhm.
thought it was kind of like, especially growing up, like plus size. It's like people look at you and that's the first thing they see, and they
Mhm.
automatically make opinions about you. And so I
Mhm.
always
Mm.
felt like I had to try harder to either make myself look prettier or be funnier, just do everything in my power to
I
make
mean,
people want to like me after getting to know me.
I just gotta say, I think fat girlies are pretty funny most of the time. I kind of
This
love
is
Yeah.
us.
true.
Yeah.
Yes, we're very funny.
We are.
I think as well, coming at it from, I guess, a work perspective, I've had people sort of make opinions about my work ethic just based on how I look.
Mhm.
You know, they're kind of surprised at how thorough I am with my work, or how much I care and how much time I put in, because they sort of look at me and assume that I'm lazy, or
Yeah.
that I don't really care, or that I don't have a passion for sort of work life balance, almost in the respect of, you know, game work is quite sedentary and trying to stay active and that kind of stuff. They're like, what?
Right.
Weight is very hormonal, or it's genetics. It's not really, it can't really be based too, it's not often based on our health. It's often based on like our hormones, our genetics. Like
Mhm.
we could literally be doing the right things, working out, doing all that, and we could stay the same size.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it sucks when a lot of people just like look at us and think like, oh, she's unhealthy because she's plus sized, or oh, she must be lazy and unhealthy and doesn't like, she either eats too much or she doesn't work out or doesn't do this. And it's like it really sucks, because it's like our weight
Yeah.
shouldn't dictate what people think about us.
I love cooking and I love baking and I love food, but I
Yeah,
feel awkward saying that because people will go, "Oh, of course you
same.
like food," and it's like,
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I do like
"Rude?
food. It's delicious.
Exactly. Like
I
we
also
all
don't
like
work out. I
food.
also don't do anything.
What's wrong with liking
Yeah.
food? Why is it a bad
Exactly.
thing?"
But if someone who is, skinnier, and they say they like
Mm,
food, or oh, I'm not a fan of working out, it's like, oh, it's okay.
I don't trust anyone who doesn't like food.
I
Mhm.
know. Keeps us alive. We gotta love it. Have you guys noticed any barriers to your growth that has seemed tied to like your appearance rather than your content or your work or what you do?
Honestly, for me, since I've done the experience of like streaming kind of under two identities, like my current one where I'm a PNG tuber and I don't show my identity, and I mostly focus on like, content, like my personality. And then when I did stream where I had same personality, same content wise, but I showed my face, I did notice that when I streamed with my face, I did not see much growth at all. I would get hate raids, or I would get people that joined my streams just to hate, or people that would comment mean things about my weight, and that would be the only thing they focused on. Versus
For sure.
now, when I make content and I don't show my face, or I just have my PNG tuber, people are more inclined to say like, "Oh, this person's funny." This like, "Oh, I like your content." And
Mhm.
I kind of, that was like the one thing that I really noticed, and I also noticed a lot more growth and a lot more like people wanting to like watch me and like watch my content. And it feels really strange to me, because it's like the only thing I changed was whether or not I show what I look like,
Mhm.
but I still stayed the same person. I still have the same type of content and personality.
people look at you and they make an assumption of your
Mhm.
character and then put those limits on you, that barrier that, oh, well, she can't be that funny because she's fat.
Mhm. I do feel that the answer is yes. Yes. We've met an uphill battle when it comes to sort of breaking through barriers that someone who is conventionally attractive, I suppose, sort of can get. That also doesn't necessarily mean that our conventionally attractive friends are not working hard. I want to make that very clear. They also work very hard.
Of
Mhm.
course.
But there's definitely a reality that when I post a clip, and if someone who's not my body size posts a clip, and it's the exact same clip, we're saying the exact same thing and laughing in the exact same way, there's going to be comments about what I look like on mine and not on theirs.
Mhm.
And that's really difficult if I focus on those things. So I tend to ignore YouTube. The cesspool wasteland of YouTube comments don't exist to me. Um, but in other ways, the growth can come through a lot of different ways. Like brands, they tend to have like very specific aesthetics that they want to uplift. So I tend to find hyper attractive individuals picked for face campaigns, and I want to be, I want to showcase that like I can also be that, and it's just a matter of working a little bit harder, and whether that's fair, maybe not, but it's also made me more capable and more um, rewarding to see the work that I've put in. And I write a killer email now because I have to try harder. And but yeah, there's definitely barriers. I'm rambling at this point, but yeah, the end. Well, I have a lot to offer. I also have worked really hard to create a loyal community that like values who I am and what I do and what I present. And if I can tell a brand that I have like, I don't want to brag. I have 10,000 people who are ready to like take on a sponsorship. They'll be like, "Excuse me, what do you mean?" And then we also follow through with that. That makes a difference. And I don't know. Advertising your community is something that's super important for everybody, not just individuals who are smaller or larger or whatever we look like. But it is a tactic that I tend to lean on more often than like a photo of myself and more stats about my content, like me and my streams and like things like that.
Do you feel like
Mm.
plus size women are represented fairly in the streaming and the gaming space? And if not,
Absolutely
how
not.
so?
Women
Yay.
in general aren't even represented fairly in the streaming and gaming
Yeah.
space. If I mean, for example, like looking at like the top like most paid like top 100 streamers, there's not that many women in there, and the ones that are there, they're conventionally attractive and skinny. And so plus size women, we are not even really represented at all often.
I mean, even in industry, there are so few women who are senior programmers, senior artists, and again, I cannot name any of them that are plus
Mhm.
size. And even though, yeah, fine, it should be a merit-based industry, you know for a fact that these people are, hiring on a preconceived notion on looking at these women and going, oh well, her portfolio was fine, but I don't want to work with someone who's fat. And it's like,
What's really frustrating, I would say, is that when plus sized women are involved, it tends to be more of like a token pick to
mm,
showcase their
Mhm.
company is inclusive and fun and we want everybody.
Mhm.
Look, we have this fat chick. We have everybody. We're a girl's
yeah,
girl.
we've
I'm
got
like,
one of
cool.
everyone.
Mm-hmm. So that's frustrating. How do we fix that? Making it more normal instead of something that is
Mhm.
showcased. Like we have these people, here's our group of people, just treating everybody normally, but echoing, yes, there's not enough women in the space in general that are being highlighted. I mean, even on Twitch, there's a 50-50 between men and women aren't in the top 10. There's two, I think, in the top 10.
Mhm.
So that it should be 5 and 5 if we're like really doing like numbers, but it's not. And there's a lot going on that we could be fixing. We're important, and it shows
Mhm.
that like it's important for us to show up, take up space, and support each other.
Mhm.
My body shouldn't have to be a statement. I shouldn't have to be
Mhm.
hired or for a campaign or anything in spite of what I look like. I
Mhm.
should just be allowed to exist.
Mhm.
It's shocking that like a controversial statement is that plus size people are people, women are people, plus size people are people, and we should be just appreciated for our talents and not what we look like. I remember when Overwatch first came out. I think May was probably the first character I saw with my body type. I was just like, wow, oh my god. And she's cute. She's accomplished. She's not like overly sexualized. Of course, the fan base is a whole other question, and the topic of the sexualization of fat bodies is a whole other kettle of fish. But
Mhm.
I think, I was it was only really when I was kind of coming into my adulthood that I'd seen characters that looked like me, and even still I can only count them on like one hand.
And not only with video games too, I feel like um, in media in general, I feel like we're very underrepresented as well.
Mm.
But again, that's a whole other thing. How do you guys think that Twitch, YouTube, the gaming industry as a whole, social platforms, etc., how do you think these platforms could better support plus size creators? Like if you had the chance to sit, at a table with like the CEO of YouTube, Twitch, X, everything, what do you think we could kind of present to them?
I think sort of bouncing off of what I was saying in the previous question, like how things should be treated as normal and not tokenized, doing more, uplifting larger bodied people more often so that it becomes more normal. So like featuring plus size creators in front page slots, marketing campaigns, sponsored opportunities without making it feel like I'm a diversity checkbox in body size. Representation in general is not just about being included like one time, it's about continuously being included. And so making sure that you have checkboxes in a way, but towards diversity. And continuously doing that and continuously bringing people up over time, it becomes more normal, and that's what we need. We need to stop having the one, oh, we have all of these people plus this one person. I'm like, no, you need plus this one person 10 times with everybody else every time, no question.
I think, everyone's gotten so comfortable with just being cruel online. And if we're talking about, again, just like the games industry in particular, how comfortable people feel to immediately lambast a game online because they don't like it and they don't like the creator, and they'll immediately go on these campaigns against a studio for not making something look the way that they like. People are so comfortable with this level of toxicity now, and it's really disheartening
Mm-hmm.
actually. As someone who wants to make characters, I'm anxious for my future, seeing the backlash against Fable 3 and Aloy. And as a big Dragon Age fan, Dragon Age Veilguard, I know for a fact now that if I was behind something, if I produced a character, I would have someone, immediately posting something going, "Oh, well, the creator behind this character, she's a plus size Jewish lesbian. Oh, well, of course it's going to be ruined. It's the creator's self insert." And it's like, can't I just make something?
It feels like when there's representation, it's always just like one. It's not continuous, or it's not, or maybe a group of plus size women in something. It's always just like one to check that box.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with it being normal?
Yes. It is normal. And
It
I feel like it
is
should be
normal,
represented
yeah.
as normal, and unfortunately it's just not. Yeah, like you mentioned, it sucks that we have to grow thick skin if we are to post ourselves online. And it's all, you notice it's always the ones who are hating who don't usually post themselves online. So, we, I
Yeah.
mean, we have thick skin, and we have unfortunately had to build up thick skin. But,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know about you guys, but I am kind of, in a way, obviously it has both positive and negatives, but I'm kind of glad that I've had to develop thick skin. I think it's made me better as a person. It's made me definitely a lot less judgmental because I've had to deal with, hate being thrown towards me. So of course I'm not gonna do that to somebody else because I know how it feels.
It is sad though that we're kind of expected to put up with this treatment, and that we're the ones that have to get a thick skin and not take these things to heart, when people should just not act like this. People should just be nicer.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
It's
For sure.
insane that empathy is radical these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be nice to your neighbor.
I
Yeah,
Because you're also a neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
was
know.
no one
Very
told
well.
treat others how you'd want to be treated growing up?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I've always lived
Mhm.
by that, and I always will.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course.
It's such a simple concept, but it's so important.
Yeah.
Touching on the gaming industry specifically and character design, how do you think that we can improve in that area, adding in more representation via character art, character design, or basically just gaming
I have
industry as
so
a
many
whole?
opinions
Please spit. You have the floor.
because I'm a big supporter of kind of diversity behind the screen contributes to more authentic representation on screen. You know, I wrote a thesis on queer representation in Dragon Age, and one of the things that I touched on and talked about, and that I believe very strongly, is that representation is an inherently political act because of how um, certain cultures and identities are politicized, and if you ignore the implications of that culture, the social implications of that experience, then
Hmm.
that representation is inauthentic. It's weak in a lot of ways. It's not putting your money where your mouth is, and so not employing plus size people to even in your industry, and then making one plus size character that's barely plus size, and either their whole thing is about gluttony or greed, or their whole thing's about food. it
Yeah.
it's not great. I love Baldur's Gate 3. It's such a good game, but like the only two plus size characters
Mhm.
are associated with greed and gluttony. One of them drinks until he explodes.
Hmm.
It's,
Mhm.
there's this idea that fatness is grotesque and horrible. And,
Mhm.
going into making actual character models and character builds, there's so few references and character sculpts available that aren't grotesque or, on the other hand, over sexualized. The base
Hmm.
meshes, the base models that I can look for on Marketplace are usually from Blenderport. They're usually over sexualized and not a realistic depiction of what
Mhm.
a plus size body looks like.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I would just love for my features to not be treated as overly sexual.
Mhm.
I have had game concepts in mind for a very long time about a female character whose inventory is in her bra, because who doesn't keep shit in their bra?
What
But
I
I
love
can't
that.
do that without people being weird about it.
Yeah. I think there's more to say as well. It's a societal stigma, yes, and uh, making plus size characters like the goofy sidekick, or like the
Mhm.
big brute villain, or like
Yeah.
Yeah.
comedic relief or background NPCs, or just the the times that you see like plus size protagonists, love interests, heroes is so few and far between that like
Yeah.
I want to see more main character energy with armor that fits them and isn't sexualized, and
Mhm.
it's not just a sack, like a character that's fleshed out, that has a story, that
Mhm.
has cool design and a cool armor and actual storylines. Like, we want to see ourselves. Everybody is a human, and you could say this about anybody, like I kind of said earlier, but everybody has an identity and everybody loves to see themselves on the screen, and not just the Hollywood vibe.
Mhm.
Yeah, representation is an innately human behavior that shows us what humans can be. And when you don't show us, you don't represent the fact that we can be more than over sexualized, more than a brute, more than disgusting and slobbish, more than comedic relief,
Hmm.
people won't treat us like we're more than that, because they can't see what we could be. They
Yeah.
can't see that we're more than just our weight. We're you know, nuanced, complicated people with our own backstories and identities and experiences. Ironically, they don't put a lot of weight on the character.
Ha.
When Marvel Rivals originally came out and I saw like Squirrel Girl in there along with the other heroes, I really liked seeing that because I was like, oh my god, like she's me. I was like, oh my god. So
I just want to bring up Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil Village.
there are people like us who want to see us on the screen.
I was gonna say, like, I think one specific gaming thing with like character design that I think is a recent thing is a Sims competitor came out called Inzoi, and
Yeah,
it has no ability to make your character, which if it's like a Sims type of competition, in the Sims you can design, you can do everything. You can add freckles, you can add like, you can change everything. But in Inzoi, you can't even make the character like even like plus size or even just like a little bit bigger than skin.
I think it also speaks to quite weak game design in a way. If it's supposed to be a life sim and you're not able
Mhm.
to simulate life, then that's
Yeah.
kind of what's the
I
point
just thought of a character.
here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones was a fantastic representation of plus-sized women. She was the very large bodyguard of a woman who
Mhm.
took care of
Gwendolyn
guy
Christie.
with no hand. Forgot his name.
She was pursued as a love interest later on. She was treated as desirable,
Exactly.
and they
Oh
didn't
my
try to
gosh.
change her appearance or
Mhm.
the character was quite masculine in her appearance. They didn't try to feminize her. They just accepted her as she was.
Right.
Someone also brought up in chat Ellie from Borderlands 3. I don't know if anyone's with the
Mm.
character or not. Do you think
Mm.
I'm
how do we feel about her
not, but from
representation?
what I
No, not.
remember, she's like funny
Mhm.
and smart and skilled as a mechanic,
Mhm.
which is nice because it's just showcasing a person that is badass and not a joke. She is funny, but she is not inherently funny to
Mhm.
like as a person. Like or words. Yes.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3. I played 2. She's in 2 as well. So sorry, definitely meant
Borderlands.
Borderlands 3.
Mhm. Understood. Yeah, yeah.
I think one of my favorite like character representation and like plus size representation, and it's awful that I can't think of like video games wise, but I just think of
Yeah.
Nicola from Bridgerton.
Oh my
She's
god,
a
yeah.
because she's literally just she's there. She's a love interest. She's a full fleshed out character, and like she's like it just that's the one thing that I love is that like people like her, people like this character, and it's like she's a plus size woman who is loved in the show, has a love interest, and it's not anything infected by her weight or her looks.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, that's that quote from her. I think she was interviewing them saying like, "Oh, you're so brave, bearing yourself," and she's like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm part of the perfect breast community. I think it's really important to represent the fact that I've got amazing breasts." Real.
Yeah, her press response when they keep bringing up her body is really impressive.
Mhm.
But
Hmm.
the point that the press response is bringing up her body highlights the problem
Mhm.
and ultimately everything that we're talking about. There's been interviews with celebrities that I've seen where there's like a co male and female like they work
Mhm.
together and they'll be like, "Hey sir, how did you feel about this?" and blah blah blah. And then Keira Knightley, you look tired.
Yeah.
Like things like that. It's like, hey, chill. How dare you
Yeah.
say that to one of those beautiful women in the world?
Mhm.
Is the clip I'm thinking of. But yeah.
Mhm.
There's Darth Treya, who is older. She's an older woman as well, which is another representation piece
Oh,
that we could
absolutely.
discuss. But she's like powerful and like matronly, and she has a very complex story that is written with so much depth. And I just really appreciate that as well. Like, what I want to see is the treatment and story depth and character design and effort that you put into male characters with amazing stories. The Witcher, I want that. Ciri, amazing. Like, I need these things, but I need them also on multiple different skins, multiple different bodies, and multiple different
Yeah,
environments.
I think it's just a thing of everyone that isn't like a cis straight white man needs to be written
Mhm.
better. We need the
Yeah, yeah.
same treatment. We need to be written better. And part of the way that these people get written better is if you hire people who have these experiences.
Hmm.
Dragon Age Inquisition, Dorian has
Mhm.
a earth-shattering, heartbreaking romance
Mhm.
and character story because he's written by a queer person who has that experience. I remember watching his cutscene and crying my eyes out in my dorm room in my first year of university.
I think that something that companies don't even realize is that if they put in characters like us, like they're gonna get more people to play their game as well because that's what we want to see.
Yeah, publishers tend to kind of market towards this dwindling, what's the word, market of the typical gamer idea, the straight white man, not realizing that if they were to increase diversity, it expands the market. You bring it towards people who wouldn't typically play games. It's more beneficial, but they don't do that. And it's
Mhm.
really stupid to me. I think games are a solitary experience, but for me, they've also been a way of stepping into someone else's shoes and experiencing the world from a different angle. So
Mhm.
I don't understand people who aren't interested in exploring that in every possible way.
Kind of touching back on like simulation and being able to um, design a character exactly the way that we look. I think that game design as a whole has come very far
Mhm.
in being able to design plus size characters or add on like certain things so that we can make characters look like us. And I think that that's great. And I think um, that if you get onto a game and you see that there's a plus size option, you're like, oh well, I'm not going to play this game because of that. I think that's a bit ridiculous.
People
Mhm.
having the opportunity to be the hero and making more opportunities for the hero to look and sound and be and feel more like you playing the game
Yeah.
is a way to get way more immersed.
Yeah,
I think it does
100%.
a lot for your confidence as well. I think I was a teenager around the time that She-Ra Princesses of Power was airing. And
Mhm.
there was, Glimmer. Again, Glimmer is a character that has a body type like me. She's a plus size character. And it was that moment of like, I can do things. I can
Mhm.
be more than what people think I am. I don't have to shrink myself
Mhm.
Mhm.
because of my body, because there is this character on screen and she's plus size and she's not diminished because of that.
Have
Mhm.
you had any experiences where people have kind of assumed things about your health or your abilities just because of your size? And I know we did kind of touch on that, but do you
Mhm.
guys have any maybe like very specific examples that kind of come to mind that you would like to touch on? Obviously, if you're not comfortable, you don't have to. No pressure to say anything, no pressure to not. But if there's anything you guys would like to bring up, I'd love to hear it.
It's for me. It's been like such a like frequent thing or like such a constant thing where like I would have friends or like people just in my life. Like I would literally just do something like I'll sit down on a folding chair and someone will make a comment like, "Oh, be careful, you don't want to break it." Like
Great.
it's like so stupid because it's like why do you feel the need to just say something like that? Like why do you feel the need? Mhm.
Is when I do collabs on some of my friends' channels and they do like little mini workout or movement based channel point redemptions or sub goals or anything like that where it's like, hey, you do this, we'll do 20 squats or something. If I'm like there's an assumption that I won't participate
Mhm.
from chat or from the person that I'm collabing with or whatever. I'm like, no, we're gonna do these 20 squats and I'm gonna breathe heavily at you for 20 seconds afterwards, but I'm gonna do it. And I don't know why you said I shouldn't, but there's like little things like that. It's almost perceived as like microaggressions.
I am fat. I have
Hmm.
fat in my body. All of us
Mhm.
have fat in our body. I have more of
Yeah,
it. I am fat. It's not like it's not me saying I'm fat, I feel ugly. It's me saying I'm fat. If someone's like when
Mhm.
someone says like, "Oh, you're not fat, you're pretty." It's like, "I know I'm pretty. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
you
and
can be
fat."
both.
Like
Exactly.
Hmm.
everyone's had like their mom say something about your body. It's like God knows, but
Right.
Mhm.
my mom would always say to me, it's such a shame because you're such a pretty girl. Why is that a shame? I'm fat. My partner's fat. We're hot.
Hmm.
Mhm.
We're in a
Mhm.
very loving relationship. We look great
Mhm.
all the time. Like,
Goals.
Mhm.
yeah, we're two fat femmes. It's great.
Mhm.
It was Christmas Day. I had just gotten a webcam for Christmas, and so I decided I was gonna stream for the very first time, and this was on my like under my old identity and stuff like that. I was streaming for the very first time with a webcam and face cam and showing myself, and it was like kind of like a big moment. And I remember getting hate rated that same day with people coming in and being like, "Oh my god, you're fat and ugly. You look like Carl Weezer." Which at the time during the stream, I was just making comments back and like laughing with them. I was like, "Oh my god, I love Carl Weezer. That's so funny. Like, I love that. Like, thank you." On the screen, I had to pretend to be like fine with it and like not care. When like
Right.
after that stream, I remember just bawling my eyes out and crying because it was the first time I showed my face, and that was the response I got.
There is just that expectation that you have
Mhm.
to like take it on the chin and
Mhm.
play along, because if you flag it up as a problem, you say, "Hey, it's not okay." You're suddenly made the problem.
Mhm. And then they'll double down as well if you act like it's a
Mm.
problem. Then it's like, oh, you can't
Yeah.
take it.
You know, it's not the same thing, but I've had people on my course treat me differently because how I look.
Mhm.
You know, there was a girl who would say behind my back that, oh, well, she's angry, you know, she's got an agenda, and it's like,
Okay.
why? And it's like, oh, Melissa's very intense. Okay, cool.
And
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I remember during like one of my game design courses, what was it? There was like like something that we were doing where we were in like in groups. And one of the things was like you had to do like an argument based on something and defend your point or whatever. And I
Right.
remember I was
God, that's a
defending
recipe
I
for
remember I
disaster.
defended my point very well. Like I used evidence. I literally like brought up proof and it was just like a fun game. And I
Mm.
remember the other girl with us in the group because and this is a game design class in college. There's already not that many girls. So it was me and this other girl and a few guys in the group. And I remember the other girl was much skinnier, conventionally attractive, and I'm bigger. And I remember when she was doing the argumentative part, she wasn't really I would say it wasn't like a good argument for like for the game wise. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember all of the guys were more so hyping her up and be like, "Oh wow, you're doing great." And then for me, they would just be like, "No, you're not doing enough."
Mm.
And I immediately like felt it. Like I was like, ugh. Like yeah, they're doing this just because of my looks and not because of my like what I'm like doing. Not because of this like argumentative game. Like I was there giving like points, like speaking, like doing like everything I could. And she would just say like a sentence and they would be like, "Oh, you did so well." And then for me it's like, you should have said more."
those are the main things that I kind of wanted to cover. But what would you guys have any advice that you would give to other plus size women who maybe want to get into the gaming industry but are nervous too about how they're nervous about how they'll be perceived? Do you have any advice for maybe people who are already in the industry who are afraid to take a next step because of they're afraid of how they'll be perceived or challenges they face? Do you have any words of wisdom from your own experiences that you would like to share?
We're here to support you. You will
Yeah,
always have supporters.
there's strength in numbers. You know,
Mhm.
you look for your people, you find your tribe. You know, I found this the Women in Games
Mhm.
Discord. You know, that's such a wonderful resource
Mhm.
that
That is
you've gotta find your people and don't shrink yourself. I know it's easier to say it than do it,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, they win if
Mhm.
you conform, if you give in to what they expect of you.
Mhm.
You're allowed to take up space. You, as a person, are allowed to be here. You don't have to earn the right to be seen.
Mhm.
Um, you already deserve the right to be seen. Um,
absolutely.
like existing online, especially like as a woman, comes with being perceived no matter what we do. You might as well show up as your full self, attract the people that get you. You don't only want a specific aesthetic. You're allowed to be gross, soft, loud, funny, not funny, whatever feels like the real you. And I hope that you do that because you deserve to do that. You deserve to take up space, and the right people will find you. We can filter through all the hate raids and hate messages, but fuck them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
fuck 'em.
Fuck them. The end.
Yeah.
You know, be the change you want to see in the world. If you don't see plus size streamers, plus size characters, make it.
Mm-hmm.
Be the streamers. Make those characters. Make those games because
Mhm.
you know you can be the change in the world. You have
Mhm.
agency.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
That's the
Remember.
message of this panel.
Fuck them.
Yeah. It's like remember,
Basically.
like Taylor Swift said in Mean, you will be
Mm-hmm.
doing great things. All of those haters, they're just gonna keep being mean. They're literally that's it. Like they're gonna go nowhere. They're just gonna keep being mean, keep being negative. They're gonna have no one around them. But you're gonna be supported. You're gonna be loved. You're gonna be doing great things.
Yeah, I really do believe that good things come to good people.
Mm-hmm.
That's like again kind of a whole other topic, but yeah, I think if you just be the positivity that you want to see in the world, be the representation. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's very important. And it's very valid to be afraid to take that extra step because of all the backlash that we receive and the microaggressions, and like it's very valid. But like at the end of the day, it's an important step to take, and you can do it. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I was like kind of getting emotional talking about that because it really just kind of made me rethink, um, the things that we have to face, um, as plus size women. This industry that is very male dominated, and um, it's not it's not common to see people like us in the sphere. So
You can find me under Fairy Bunsy everywhere and anywhere.
hell yeah.
YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok. There's probably more. Who knows?
Yeah, and Buns
They'll just keep
Buns is
coming.
yeah, Buns is a good friend of mine and does make great content, puts a lot of work
Mhm.
behind it as well. So definitely recommend following her and checking her out. What about you, Jen?
I'm Jen. You can find me at Jenna's Online anywhere. I shout from the rooftops about body positivity, and I post photos of myself that look terrible because it's important. And we're out here in all of our angles.
Melissa, what about you? I know you don't really do the content thing, but tell us more about what you do.
Yeah, so I am a game design student. You can find me on Blue Sky and Instagram under Melissa Garfield 3D, which is my kind of professional account, so that jobs that I'm applying to don't know that I'm a degenerate.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for
Bye.
joining me. Bye,
Bye.
guys.
See ya.
Bye. I'm frozen? Why am I frozen? Hello? Hold up. Let's try this again. Huge shout out to the panelists. Hi, I'm a plus sized woman, if you couldn't tell. I do kind of like cover my body a lot, but I am. That's who I am, and I'm proud of that. It's not something that I necessarily hide. Or these are conversations that I feel like should be had more often.